Hello viewers, my name is Ashok Sen Gupta. I am from School of Management Sciences, Lucknow. Today's topic is a continuous topic based on project risk management, and today we also understand how we can manage and analyze the various risk generated during the project and how we mitigate that risk. This project management topic help us to understand about the various aspects of risk management. In previous topic we understand about the qualitative tools, quantitative tools, and we continue with this topic in today's session. We can also classify the events according to the probability, give them rank, impact and score. Let us see, the event is the hardware which is delivered 10 days late lead to be overall project delay by 10 days. If the event is occur, if hardware received after 10 days, it will delay the project by 10 days in the project, that of the minor importance of the customer. The probability of occurring this is 100%, the probability occurring is 100%. Impact of rating which we study in previous, how we analyze the impact on rating and then give the score of 50. The hardware will be delivered 10 days late leads to the overall projects delay by 10 days. Deliver on time is important to the customer. Deliver of time is important to the customer. High penalties for each day of delay delivered are agreed. If we delayed by each day, we have to pay a high penalty. So, this is the event, and chances of this event is 100% probability. Impact rating is 50 and we score 50 because special circumstances it is upgraded to 100. The acceptance, third event is acceptance test scope of work is not confirmed by the customer. By investigation test completion, from the experience it may be expected that the customer will require a certain number of additional test cases leading to the scheduled delay by an additional cost. If this event has happened, अगर ये होता है हमारे, the probability of this is 70%. हमने इसका 70% probability माना कि 70% ऐसा हो सकता है कि कस्टमर कुछ और एडिशनल टेस्ट मांगे, केसेस मांगे और उससे हमारा डिले हो जाएगा, एडिशनल कॉस्ट भी आएगी. इम्पैक्ट रेट 50 बिकॉज अ रिस्क ऑफ 6% कॉस्ट इंक्रीज एंड 10% डिले. वो रेंज हमने पिछले स्लाइड में दिखाए थे आप लोगों को, उसमें हम 50 मानेंगे इसको. रेंज जो आया था 0, 5, 100. ओके, एंड स्कोर इज 40%. At 1:30 the customer has confirmed half of the feature described in the RSEC, that is the product, but informed Nokia Siemens network that have not other half as well as some additional requirement are still in discussion. Final scope of project is delay unclear. The major chances are expected. It may be event. It is also event. And chances of the probability is 80% and its impact rate according to the previous chart is 100 because risks of more than 10% cost increase to weak project schedule and as well as minor change in scope. So, 2 week project schedule अगर बढ़ जाता है, अनएक्सपेक्टेड क्लियर है कि 2 से ज़्यादा अगर क्लियर होता है, हम इतना स्कोर देंगे, इम्पैक्ट रेट करेंगे, तो हमने इम्पैक्ट रेट दिया 100, तो हमारा स्कोर हुआ 100. सो दिस इज अ क्लासिफिकेशन, रिस्क क्लासिफिकेशन चार्ट विच इज बेस्ड ऑन द प्रीवियस चार्ट, इम्पैक्ट चार्ट एंड प्रोबेबिलिटी चार्ट्स. And by using all these charts, we can classify the project, classify the event, give them a probability and ranking them accordingly. So, it must be a process way, it is a process way, risk classification, risks all are in the way of process. Hence, it is important to understand that all these kind of risk classification, risk analysis tool must be together, teamwork be there, and we process the things accordingly. Risk response planning. There may not be quick solution of to reduce or eliminate all the risk facing a project. एक बार में खत्म नहीं हो सकता. It take time. Some risks may needed to be managed and reduced strategically over a long period. Some risks are not reduced in a sudden moment, like there is a risk of health and there is a economical risk over the world due to the COVID pandemic. All industries are in risk, government is in risk, but these type of risks are planned accordingly but strategically. धीरे धीरे जैसे गवर्नमेंट ने हर लॉकडाउन्स को धीरे धीरे ख़त्म किया, वीकेंड लॉकडाउन करके रखा, फिर इम्पोर्टेंट प्रायोरिटीज़ की चीज़ों को देखा कि जहाँ पर रिस्क ज़्यादा है उसको नहीं खोलना. अभी नाउ डेज स्कूल और कॉलेज आर स्टिल शटेड डाउन because there is a high risk of transferring the virus through kids, or kids may be infected. So, there is a high risk of infection is there and we want to save our kids. So, government plan to still shut their school and colleges because they are to reduce the chances of the infection or risk. Vaccination is a project, and implementation of vaccination is a long term project. Government first give the vaccination to the frontline workers because they were worked 7/24 for the peoples. They are in high risk zone areas, so government give them priority. It is strategically. The project is to give the injection of antivirus, COVID shield, Covaxin, all are the vaccinations, and vaccination देने का एक project है. Government plan to vaccinate each and every people, but this is not a one day plan because we have a huge population. So, it is strategically. Risk described with risk assessment. रिस्क को हम डिस्क्राइब करें और फिर इसका असेसमेंट भी साथ में करें. रिस्क अगर है तो उसको कैसे करें. ऑफिस मॉल्स खोल देना है पर रिस्क है कि इन्फेक्शन भी हो सकता है, तो असेसमेंट कैसे करें. सबको चेक किया जाए, सबके थर्मल चेक किए जाए, फिर एंट्री दी जाए. सैटरडे संडेज को बेसिकली वो छिड़क कर या फिर जो भी हम पूरे मॉल की सफाई करें, हॉस्पिटल्स की सफाई करें. Describe the action to reduce the risk. What can be the action you are taking to reduce the risk? If you are taking the project of government vaccination project, what is the action? Reduce the risk. The action is to strict instruction for the vaccinations, awareness among the people to wear the mask, not to expose in high dense populated areas, try to avoid, wash the hand with sanitizer or you can say sanitizer or soap. So, these are the precautions and the actions we are going to take to reduce the risk. Owner of this risk action, who takes the ownership of कि क्या हम करके दिखाएंगे, हम करेंगे, हम रिस्क को इस तरह कम करेंगे. तो who take the owner? कमिटमेंट ऑफ कंप्लेंट किस दिन खत्म हो जाएगा, किस दिन खत्म हो जाएगा. जैसे पोलियो है, नाउ वी डोंट हैव अ सिंगल केस ऑफ पोलियो एज पर द रिकॉर्ड्स इन इंडिया. This was also a project. Door-to-door polio vaccination has given to the children up to 5 years of age, and the ownership given to the health workers from central to state, state to district, district to town and villages. All risk actions plan should be allocated to the person identified carrying out the action plan. There is a one person who is responsible for that. Then there is a team under them, and a team work for all the plan. For each risk, a risk response must be a document in the risk register agreed with the stakeholder. There should be exposure of project management. Risk response plan are aimed to the following target: eliminate the risk, lowering the probability of the occurrence, lowering the impact of the risk. Risk response plan usually impact time and cost. It is therefore mandatory that the time and cost for defined response plan are calculated as precisely as possible. This also assists selecting a response plan from alternatives and in varying whether the response plan is costlier or more impact on one of the project objectives. So, response plan is also must be a recorded form where a person has recorded the each and every event in a diary and a register, and how they manage the risk according to the risk scores. This is a chart shows that schedule delay in the expected if the hardware is not delivered. This is the event, and what is the response? Agree on penalties with the hardware supplier for delay delivered. If you not if you have you need to do an agreement, and in that agreement there is a penalty to the supplier if you not provide the items in a proper time. Evaluate ways to shorten the timeline for on-site activities like installation and commissioning, etc. If it is delayed, then you can reduce the timeline of installation, it saves the time. Shorten the acceptance phase by reducing the acceptance test cases and inviting customer joint system test before consumer release. These are the responses. These responses are the example of hardware delivering, but it is vary from various cases. There are several risks and they are vary from various cases, and they having a risk response in various cases. Time, cost and scope deviation to the expected is required not finally in project kickoff. Make sure that requirement specification has been initially reviewed by concerned parties and it initially agreed as a complete feasibility. Inform the customer about the latest possible date for input into the final version of the requirement specified, about the version that is used for basic or the development. If no further input is available, open a claim against the customer. Agreed with the customer that all issues have classified until project kick off with create a change request. need a change request. So, these are the risk responses regarding to that event that happened with the time, cost and scope of deviations. It may be a different event, it may be different responses. So, responses are changes according to the various aspects. Risk trigger. For each risk, a trigger must be documented in the risk register. The trigger identifies the risk symptoms or warning sign. This indicate that a risk has occurred or is about to occur. If there is a scheduled delay in expected hardware delivery, the confirmed hardware delivery date not available at project initiation. यानी that means कि रिस्क कैसे हाँ पे कहाँ पे रिस्क होगा, ट्रिगर कहाँ कर रहा है कि डेट ही नहीं दी गई कि किस दिन प्रोजेक्ट हार्डवेयर मिलेगा, जब आपको पता ही नहीं है डेट किस दिन मिलेगी तो डिले होना संभावना है. सो याद देखिए कहाँ पे हो सकता है, डोंट टेक चांसेस. If all the things must be in register form and there is an agreement between supplier and the parties. Risk ownership. The ground rule is that the responsibility for the managing all risk in the project lies with project manager. Project manager is a responsible person for each and every event in the project, either fail or pass. If you have failed, then you have to take the ownership that I am failed in this project, and if you are having give you a good result, then you will get appreciated. So, based on the ground rule of risk ownership must be determined and named in the risk register. The risk owner is normally the one who can best monitor the risk trigger, but can also be the one who can best driver and define the counter measures. जिसको पता है रिस्क कैसे हो सकता है, कहाँ पे रिस्क है और उसका काउंटर मेजर कैसे होना चाहिए. डैम तैयार हो रहा है और आपको पता है कि रेनी सीजन आ गया है और हिली एरियाज पे आप yesterday news was a lot of casualties in Jammu Kashmir due to cloud burst. So, these type of cloud burst are natural phenomena, you cannot stop this kind of things, but you can you know that there is a risk. So, how we manage the risk? What are the measures we will take while overall project in their circumstances? अगर क्लाउड बस्ट हो जाता तब क्या करोगे? What are the safety measures you have? How you can save the life of the person also. Life of the person also depends on you. So, risk trigger status and define the definite अब देखिए रिस्क इवेंट है, शेड्यूल डिले ऑन एक्सपेक्टेड टाइम हार्डवेयर, ओनरशिप टेक्निकल ऑर्डर मैनेजर जो ऑर्डर देता है, सर्विस अकाउंट मैनेजर वो रिस्पॉन्सिबल होगा जिसने ऑर्डर दिया और सर्विस की जो दे रहा है वो दोनों लोग उसके रिस्पॉन्सिबल होंगे. टाइम कॉस्ट में डिले हो रहा है तो प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर रिस्पॉन्सिबल होगा. ओवरऑल प्रोजेक्ट शेड्यूल डिले हो रहा है तो एक्सपेक्टेड if consumer release not be reached in time, system test leader responsible होगा. So, there are the responsibility accounting must be there. There must be a responsibility accounting and the person are looking after this thing have a responsibility to manage this, have a responsibility to manage this thing. So, these are all about the various aspects. In last 2 or 3 lectures we will discussed about the aspects of risk management, risk taking ability, risk things. Now, we going to study about the risk mitigation techniques. First is accepting the risk. When the project member talk about the accepting the risk, they elaborate that with each other and analyze all the risks and then define the consequences of each risk to see whether which one are acceptable. The main purpose of this activity to accepting the risk to being these risks in the forefront, so that team members can better understand of the risk and the project and circumstances. So, first risk mitigation strategies में first thing is accepting the risk है, accept that. If we accept that risk, the project team members also accept that, and we work on the risk, we work how to rectify that. if अगर वो रिस्क होता है, ऐसा हो जाता है, तो हम क्या करेंगे और पता हो तो हम मानते हैं ऐसा होना हो सकता है, वी एक्सेप्टिंग द रिस्क. Okay. So, there is a risk designing or construct a railway line in the hilly areas is a high risky zone. Anytime due to landslide or any there may be a lots of casualties, but we accept the risk, we know हाँ ये हो सकता है, and for that we have the proper precautions, we have the proper management of the time, proper management of the things, resources. Okay. Avoiding the risk. Avoiding the risk a strategy where team members come up with a way in which they can avoid the possibility of risks occurring altogether. रिस्क को हम अवॉइड कर सकें, हम कोई और रास्ता निकाल लें. टीम मेंबर आगे आते हैं, हम सोचते हैं कि और रास्ता निकाल लें जिससे रिस्क कम से कम हो, अवॉइड हो जाए. किस तरह हम रिस्क को, तो बहुत सारे कंस्ट्रक्शन प्रोजेक्ट्स में ऐसा किया जाता है, वी हैव अल्टरनेटिव चॉइस एंड वी ट्राई टू अवॉइड द रिस्क. हियर द एक्सेप्टेंस रिस्क एंड द consequences are considered and the opportunity of the avoiding risk, certain risks become clear as well. Sometimes what team members do is create a plan for the risks that could be take place and take preventive steps for the completion. उसका preventive step हम देखते हैं उसे complete कैसे करते हैं, उसे कब ठीक ठाक से कर दें. अवॉइड का मतलब ये नहीं होता कि भाग जाएं. अवॉइड का मतलब होता है कि what are the best opportunities we can choose. There may be a risk to the performance that we avoid by the disturbing the workload based on the member capabilities and so risk avoidance means we are try to find out the best possible directions. Here the team members plan ahead and see any problem that could be take place, they schedule in the project and then take steps to solve the problem before they arise. प्रॉब्लम आने से पहले ही उसको सॉल्व करने की कोशिश किया जाए. बादल आ रहे हैं, बारिश होने वाली है, लैंडस्लाइड हो सकता है, क्या करें, पहले से ही पहले अरेंजमेंट करके रखें. आजकल नेट इस्तेमाल किए जाते हैं लोहे के जिससे कि आप जो भी आपका पैनल्स लगाकर और जो माउंटेन्स के साइड्स हैं जहाँ पे लैंडस्लाइड संभावना है वहाँ पे नेट लगाए जा रहे हैं. अभी जो 4 धाम योजना बनी है, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने बनाया है, केदारनाथ, बद्रीनाथ, गंगोत्री, वहाँ पे भी जब रोड डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, रोड बन रही है, लैंड्स काटे जा रहे हैं, पहाड़ काटे जा रहे हैं, तो ऊपर से पत्थर ना आए, तो वी नो डैट देयर इज़ अ रिस्क एंड वी नो हाउ टू फाइंड द बेस्ट ऑल्टरनेटिव्स. Control the risk is a way when the risk control is cannot be avoided together. Team members come up with the way in which they control an impact of the risk. They takes into account, identify the risk and then see the once they cannot accept the avoid. इसके एग्जाम्पल में आपने बहुत बार देखा होगा, यूट्यूब वगैरह में देखा होगा, you find that when we open the gates of the dam at the time of high flow of water or heavy rainy season, जहाँ पर डैम टूटने का डर रहता है, when we find that dam cannot bear the pressure more than this, we know there is a risk, and to control the risk we know what is the process, to open the door. Now next step is when open the door, huge flow of water is come out. अब जब ज़्यादा पानी एक साथ निकलेगा तो बहुत तेज़ जाएगा, तो डैम के सामने एक छोटा सा वाल बनाया जाता है नीचे डाउन के साथ, तो पानी पहले उस वाल से टकराता है जिससे कि उसका फ्लो थोड़ा सा कम होता है, पूरा कम नहीं होता, थोड़ा सा रेस्ट्रिक्ट करते हैं, उसके रेजिस्टेंस लगा देते हैं जिसमें हम, और जिससे कि पानी का फ्लो और वो पानी जब आगे बहता है तो उसका फ्लो कम होता है, विच लेस हैम्पर द नियर बाय एरिया एंड विलेजेस. But even though it is a natural thing, we cannot avoid 100%, but even though there is a lots of happenings in China, the rain due to rain, use आपने सुना होगा what is happening, but they know the risk and they manage the risk. Transfer the risk. Another strategy of risk mitigation is the transfer of the risk. This risk involves the giving the responsibility of the risk and the consequence to other party, and such as insurance. We know the insurance क्या करता है, हमारे रिस्क को ले लेता है, ट्रांसफ़र कर लेता है. अगर कोई रिस्क होता है तो they insure, we are insured. Therefore, we transfer the risk. At the time of investment, we try to go for the bank and the bank give us a loan for the business. Here the bank also do the insurance. अगर लोन डूबता है तो इंश्योरेंस से बैंक का पैसा मिल जाएगा, या फिर लोन लेने वाला ख़त्म हो जाता है तो बैंक का पैसा उसे मिल जाएगा, जो पैसा उसका डूबेगा नहीं. तो देयर इज़ अ रिस्क एंड वी ट्रांसफ़र द रिस्क थ्रू द parties like insurance which take our risk against some premium. We have to pay the premium and they take the risk, and then this insurance company helpful for the various projects. चाहे हेल्थ, तो सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स आजकल इंश्योरेंस में ही होते हैं, उसमें लाइफ इंश्योरेंस भी होता है इवन. तो दिस आर द ट्रांसफरिंग ऑफ द रिस्क. मॉनिटरिंग रिस्क, वी नो रिस्क को कंटिन्यूस मॉनिटर करना जिससे कि रिस्क को कंट्रोल कर पाएँ. वी ऑल डिस्कस ऑल दिस थिंग, ऑलरेडी डिस्कस ऑल दिस थिंग, हाउ टू वी कंट्रोल द रिस्क. So my dear friends, today we completed the topic project risk management, and we understand the various qualitative, quantitative risks, risk identification, how to control the risk, what are the various assessment, and what are the various matrices of the risk, and finally we find out what are the mitigations or strategies which we use to control the risks. So hope you understand the topic. Thank you for watching this video.